This is my review on the good movie, the Scooby-Doo movie! So the movie opens up with the gang cracking open a distillery. And some guy that's been anyway, he's not important to the story. Anyway, they explain how Velma explains how they did it, and Fred takes the credit. In this story, it seems like in this universe of Scooby-Doo, it seems like this happens every time Fred takes the credit. Anyway, so the paparazzis come to hear the story. Of the mystery of how the gang cracked on mystery, and so after that, Daphne takes Velma's off glasses and she says, "I'm gonna kill you, Daphne," and strangles Fred. And Fred says, "Whoa, watch the ass guy." And Velma gets her glasses back, and Shaggy sees the gang as once one giant banana split and says, "Fred, you're the big banana." And says that Daphne's the fudge, and "You're the sweet juicy cherry that happens to go on top." And then says and she says, Shaggy says, "That sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Scoob?" And his Scoob says, "Uh-huh." And so Velma has things, thanks to Shaggy, she says, "Thanks, Shaggy, you finally have things in perspective for me." And she quits, says, "I quit." And then Daphne quits, and then, and Fred says, "Wait a minute, what if I quit?" "I do. Yeah, now I quit." And they all take off in separate vehicle, and 2 years later, Shaggy and Scooby making hot dogs and hamburgers in the mystery machines, and they invite to this island. This island that called Ghost. It says health has great creepy answer, and it says And Shaggy says, we don't go anywhere that has ghosts, that's word ghosts or creepy in the names. And he says, wait, the best, and also the best part is all you can eat. And that's where it gets them to go. All you can eat of food. So, but hey, and they run into the old gang. And they all ask what are they doing here, and Velma points out the office. We all been invited to this island. And Shaggy says, listen, hey, we'll be a team again. This is like the old days where come on, let's just put our hands and go woohoo. And the game's not failing it. So Daphne says that she has transformed her body into a complete weapon. And Freddy and Velma laughs, and she says it's true. And Fred's been putting books out and selling books. Fred's been doing, and Velma's been well, she's been doing something in the spot. It kind of sounds like the same thing as she was doing before, except without a team. Solving mysteries, I think. Okay, so anyway, they get to this island, and Mr. Bean is at the island, and he's pretty good in this, and kind of funny enough, and so he says they invited them to solve a little mystery. People that come to the island, they eventually start acting odd. And the gang sees how incredibly strong this girl is, and she throws her best friend, and the gang knows that there's something on, but they don't, so Daphne gets Scooby and Shaggy to go in this creepy place, and she says no way. and Daphne bribes Scooby, would you do for Scooby? Like, two Scooby snacks. Would you for Scooby? And you'll be as brave and fearless. Yeah, he karate chops Shaggy. Yeah. And Shaggy has fallen in love with this girl called Mary Jane. who's violated very hard and very attractive. So he falls in love with this girl on the plane, and through the love of her eating Scooby snacks, and she admits that Shaggy admits that he loves Scooby snacks too, and says that Mary Jane is like his favorite name. And Scooby dresses up as this old lady, as an old lady, so he could get on the plane, and the entire gang except for the Velma, Fred, and Daphne are like, oh my god. No one's stupid enough to believe that, and except for Fred, he bought it. He says, "Who's the ugly old grandma?" Fred flicks Scooby on the nose to stop barking, and said that, see, it's a positive response, and Scooby just punches Fred. And Jake says, "Grandma, stop, Grandma, wait, don't eat the kitty." And so, anyway, back to the mystery. Shaggy, Scooby, Daphne run into Fred and Velma checking out the place, because they know something's odd about this island. And there's a mystery to resolve, so Fred just thinks, okay, I guess while we're all here, Shaggy and Scooby, you go with each other, and then Velma says, "Oh, here we go," and Fred's like, "What? Oh, nothing. I was always the last one to get picked." "Fine. Velma, you're with me. Shaggy and Scooby, you're with Daphne, instead of the usual." And so this little guy activates these scary rides. and Scooby and Shaggy drop into this. What we do with this? It's monsters and food. And Shaggy says, "What we always do, Scoob, eat." And Scooby eats the sausage by his butter, but spits out, "It's plastic." and Shaggy says, "Why, you can't? You drink out of a toilet." And he says, "So do you." Until Velma and Fred, by hilarious comedic scare way, they find the book, and they pull all of the books out until the last book, after the ride was shut off by some mysterious guy, which is the same guy that turned on the ride, and they saw open passageway, and they figure out by this video that looks like it came from the 90s, looks like a 90s commercial, that is basically mind control, that someone's using mind control. And someone's using mind control as a series she's got, and so the gang head back to this body and talk to Miss Bean. Says they find out they have a few suspects. This crazy voodoo guy and Mr. Bean versus and you. And actually there was 5 of them, I think, 5 suspects, but versus you and me, and he says, I'm a suspect? And first says, don't take it personally. It's mostly just because we find you weird. So Scooby gets a call from this mysterious creep that he has a hamburger, a nice juicy hamburger for him, and he just gives him directions to get it, and Scooby falls for it, and this monster comes out and scares to tries and chases after Scooby, and Scooby climbs up the top of the tree, and I guess he gets off of the tree, and the monster slingshots in the air, and Scooby runs to the gang while Velma's talking about how they did Scrappy and they got rid of him because the final straw was he peed on Daphne. And said puppy power. It was hilarious. That's the funniest thing in the movie. Oh, I laughed when I first saw that. I still find that funny. So, her and her new boyfriend was laughing until at the end she punches him in the gut because he was fogging up the glass after they saved the day. And yeah, so that is a bit odd. Yeah, the relationship between Velma and her short boyfriend is kind of oddly written. So Scooby tries to tell Fred about this monster, and Fred says there is no such thing as, and this monster comes in and says, "Monster, everyone run!" And Fred and Daphne get kidnapped by the monsters, and no, Fred and Velma get kidnapped by the monsters, and Shag says, "Scooby-Doo, where are you?" And this other monster comes in, and so Shag runs, and Scooby's like tiptoeing under this tip, and this monster pulls off her suit that's like, really? And Scooby's like, oh crap. So Mary Jane and Scooby and Shaggy and Daphne gets saved by Scooby-Doo, and he accidentally runs them out a window. And they land in these safes pots. And come up with they said they need to come up. Davidson's need to come up with a plan to save Fred and Velma. And next morning, they're on a beach, and this is a weird thing. Mary Jane calls the Coast Guard, and this doesn't go in way, but it's a really odd scene. Calls this Coast Guard and says, "Our friends were kidnapped and were on this island. Our friends were kidnapped," and it says, "Okay, our friends have been kidnapped." Maniacal laugh. Evil laugh. And Scooby runs into Fred and sees him jamming out, and Shaggy and Fred knows that he's talking odd, and says, "Do you know what I'm saying to you?" And he says no, and asks what happened. Fred, what happened last night? And he's speaking in rap. So it turns out the monsters have possessed Fred's body and get chased by Fred, and Daphne seems to have disappeared, and Scooby-Doo finds these bikes, and Shaggy thought he was saying yikes. Then Joey says, "No, bikes!" And he's like, Scooby-Doo and Fred's like, "Oh shit." Then they crash open this place, and this like the shed. They ride these bikes, and they pick up Mary Jane, and Shag says Mary Jane to hop on, and Scooby finds out that Mary Jane's wearing a mask and has green eyes, and thinks that after they get away from all the monsters and possess that being the monsters possessing the humans, she says to Shaggy, "Mary Jane's a man in a mask," and he thinks that Scooby silly, and he says, "Shaggy, you're wet." Go on. And making your mama joke, insulting each other's mom. He says, and Scooby says, your mama eats cat poop," and Shag says, "No, Scoob, your mom eats cat poop." It seems like they're going to fight it out, and Scooby gets trapped in this whole slide, and Shag goes to save him, and and Mary Jane's man voice comes out, and Shaggy's like, "What?" And it says, "It's too dangerous." And he says, "I got no, he's my best friend," and so he goes down this whole slide and does find Scooby, but finds this bowl of souls and finds Velma. So, and she tells him to get out or they might take your soul too. So he just pops her away like a balloon, and then he looks for Fred's the other gangs, and he gets Fred and says, he says, "Talk me down. Someone must have spiked my drink last night, Shag. Talk me down, man." And says, "Fred, you're a floating head." Shag says, "I know, but I'm still the best looking ghost, the best looking here, I mean. Best looking out of all of them here, I mean." And he bobs Fred in the direction and lets Fred go to find his wife and Velma, and Velma's soul goes back into her body and finds out the monsters, their weakness is sunlight, like a vampire. So Shaggy gets Daphne and says, "Put me back, Shaggy. I can figure out way out myself." And Shaggy's just like, "How? I don't know. I'll use a triple double spin." Or something like that. Anyway, so she gets popped off, and but before that is a little funny thing. He gets along the song, says, and this guy is that looks like just like Mary Jane, says, "Thank you so much, man. You saved my life." Sorry, I'm only here for my friends. So he puts